Thank you all for coming today. First, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Kim Hensley, and I know a lot of you in this room very, very well. And I absolutely love this seminar every year. It's probably one of my favorite weeks at work because I get to see you guys face to face. It's always a lot of fun. And I'm super excited this year because Caitlin is with me. And I was really excited in the general session yesterday to introduce our new CGP team, which you guys have been working with them all summer and even before that. And Caitlin's been working here for years, so you're familiar with a lot of the CGP team too. But we truly care about you guys individually. We want you guys to be as successful as you want to be, and we want to kind of partner with you on that journey. And that's why we named our team the Customer Growth Partner Team, because we want to be your partner in this business. So Caitlin, tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been here, what states you cover.
I'm Caitlin. I've been here for about 4 years now, and I deal with Maryland, Texas, Pennsylvania, Iowa, Idaho, Hawaii.
Yes. So, and she's been here with us for a long time. So something that we really like about the seminar is that you guys get a lot of fresh information. So you get it first. Sometimes the information that you guys get we don't even release to our other clients, and that's the case today. So that's a little teaser about what we're going to cover. I'm going to share some new information and a new website for you that I'm super excited about. So as we get into it, I want this class to kind of be a conversation. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and we can talk about it. But keep in mind that since I'm giving you a lot of new information, there could be a whole lot of questions. And if we don't have time to get to your question today, I have my handy dandy notebook where I will be taking notes to get back with you, and I will definitely do that. So just come see me afterwards and I'll be sure to jot down your questions or to help you afterwards. And if I need to get back to you, I certainly will do that. So today's hot topics, we're going to go over a lot of new topics. That's kind of going to be the theme for the day, is a lot of new items. We'll go over the desktop features, so some of the advanced features of the software, and then also the premium features of the software as well, so the benefits of going paperless and running a paperless office. And then I'm excited to go over web reports with you. That's something that you've never heard of before. We're debuting it today, and I'm very excited to share it with you. And we'll go over the partner program as well. You may have already heard from some of our other classes and also at the General Assembly that we have made quite a few partnerships this year in businesses that I think will be helpful for you guys to grow and to take care of your customers even better. Then TaxSlayer Pro Online. Believe it or not, we're going to talk a little bit about that. The main reason I wanted to add that to the presentation today is because we've been getting lots of questions about TaxSlayer Professional version online. Is there an online platform? So I'd like to cover that briefly. And then lastly, the Taxes to Go app. I feel like Nathan stole my thunder yesterday when he shared with you guys that we have the customizable option with the Taxes to Go app. That's something that we worked really hard for all summer long to make sure we could implement so that you guys have your business logo on this app. So to add that extra level of security and comfort to the customer that they know that they're sending their information to you. Okay? So let's dive right in. Let's get advanced and dive into configuration. First, we'll go over display settings. We've got a couple of cool options here. I always like to point this one out because I really think that it's a time saver. You can change the background of the software, which sounds like such a cheesy feature. I like pink. If it were my choice, every year would be pink. That's not an option. We're still adding it to the enhancement list to have a pink option. But I'll tell you, the reason this is so helpful is because when I was in the tax office, I had a customer bring me their information, and I prepared their return, got all the way through, gave them their numbers, and I was working in the wrong year. And it was so embarrassing. I had to redo the return, so it wasted a lot of time. This feature, believe it or not, is to help prevent that from happening, and I wish that I had known that that was an option at the time. So you can set each software year to have a different color. So you know it's just kind of an extra check for our brain to know, wait a minute, something's different, something's not right. And it'll help identify, okay, I'm working in 2016 or I'm working in 2017 by the individual color that we assign to each year. So how many of you are already doing that? Good, it's about half. Yeah, exactly. You make that mistake and then you don't make it again because you fix it. Awesome. Well, I'm glad. It looked like there were about half of you that aren't doing that yet, so hopefully that'll be a really helpful tool. Now, another feature that we've added is the option to print forms in Spanish, which we've had that for a little while, but I like to add it as an update because we're constantly adding more forms. So every year it seems like there are more forms that are available in Spanish. And this is how you go in the software to set up the forms to print in Spanish. It's not very, it's kind of a buried thing, so that's why I like to include it in this presentation. The first thing you have to do is go into configuration, and we're in display settings, so that's what we're talking about. And then you go to option 12, option to print federal forms in Spanish, yes. So once you've set that up in configuration, that means the software knows that there's an opportunity for you to print forms in Spanish within the return. So this is where you'll do that. If you're working inside the tax return, you go to number 1, personal information, number 5, other categories, and then number, 9, to tell the software that I want this particular form to print in Spanish. And you can print it and make it available to that client. A question that we get a lot is, does it send to the IRS in Spanish? And no, believe it or not, they don't accept the forms in Spanish, but that's okay. It sends it in English, and you print the forms for the customer in Spanish. Okay? And this is what the form looks like. Next, we'll go over some macro settings, or settings that you can put in the software just to help organize your office. These are the depreciation categories. Are any of you using depreciation categories? Yes? A couple of you. A lot of people don't even know that this feature is available. So with the depreciation categories, you set up in configuration. Again, so you're outside of the tax return, you go into configuration, and you choose what categories that you would like to add as depreciation categories for the assets. You know your business, so you know what categories you should probably add. You can always add to it during tax season if you need to. Once you've done that, when you're inside entering an asset, you'll have an option 17, which is an expense category. So when you go to 17, you select which option or which category that particular asset falls into. And the reason that you want to do that is so that it can be very organized on the depreciation worksheet for the client. So it just helps keep things organized. I think as accountants, organization is very important. We like data and we like for it to be organized. So this gives you that capability. And next, we have lots of print options. This is something that's always changing and being enhanced. Now you can customize print options in the software. So if you customize print, you can tell it what documents that you want it to print for what circumstance. We have people that have 10 different custom print options. So when you're inside the return and you go to print, there's 10 different options there that you've added for your business, and that's great. That's what we want. Today I'm showing you how to print file copies. So within the options, you just check this box right here, and it's tied to this print option. So 1 copy federal and state. So every time you go in and print 1 copy federal and state, it's going to make that a file copy. And that just means the customer will know not to mail that copy. Okay? Now, I like to point this out every year. You were just asking the question about a manual. We don't have a manual available for the software anymore. We actually have something that's a lot more extensive. We've got our knowledge base. So in the toolbar, you can click the help button, and you really basically have a Google for the TaxSlayer Pro software. A lot of these articles were contributed from customers calling us asking questions. So we've got a team that has worked really hard to develop these articles that are going to be very helpful to you. We have tech support that unfortunately is not able to be around 24/7, but we do understand that you guys definitely run your businesses sometimes 24/7. So that's why we really want this database to be very expansive, and we want it to continue to grow, and we want you to call us if there's anything that's not in there. Let us know, because we will add an article. We will put it on the kind of the list, the to-do list that we have of articles that we want to go into this. And we really do spend a lot of time growing that database. And this is one of my favorite features of the TaxSlayer Pro software. How many of you are actively using the client retention database regularly? What? How many of you feel like you probably should use it regular? How many of you don't know what it is? Oh my gosh, this is going to be like Christmas for you guys. So the client retention database is a very easy way for you to determine who has come into your not come into your tax office this year that was there last year. So who do you need to reach out to get them back in the office? So it's going to help you build your retention, because we know at TaxSlayer it is so much better to keep your current clients than to sink a whole bunch of money into marketing and getting new clients if you can't keep the ones that you have. Sometimes that happens, and the best way to keep track of it and to really target and identify who those people are is to have a database that tells you exactly who those people are. So I love this tool, and I'll tell you, in our tax office, this was something that we did look at regularly, and we worked it. And I probably could have worked it harder than I did, to be honest, but let me show you some of the features and some of the things that I did that I think could be really helpful to you guys. As you're trying to grow your business, you want to try to market as inexpensively as possible. And what this tool does, when you print or when you go to the prior year client list, it sorts those people who haven't come into your office for that current year, and you can export it to Excel, and then it'll take that email category. So you can send an email to all of those customers at one time. You can do a blind carbon copy so their email addresses are protected, but that doesn't cost you a dime. It's going to be a little bit of your time, but it's not money in marketing, which is awesome, and it's effective, because that is something that I did in the tax office, and I'm telling you it works. So I sent an email at the beginning of tax season and just said, hey, thank you so much for coming in last year. I look forward to seeing you this year. This is my phone number. These are my hours, and this is my address. If you don't have it, come by, and I look forward to seeing you again. And I was getting responses to that one email all throughout tax season.
What do you transfer it to Excel?
Yes.
And then you copy and paste?
Yes, exactly. So you can't copy and paste in this field, so I exported it to Excel, copied it, and then in my email I had blind carbon copy as an option, so I just pasted it there, and then
paste all the emails there.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do the BCC, when they get the email,
Mm-hmm.
it'll just have.
It doesn't have anything in the to section. They only see your information.
Okay. That's what I was confused about. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we would definitely want to keep their email addresses secure, and it's much more personal if they don't feel like it's going to a whole lot of people. So, good question. Good question. In the very top, the toolbar, it's pretty much always up there. You can click that, and that's how it'll pull up. And then, so you've got the call list or thank you list, and it's really good to reach out to those clients as well. Those are the ones that have supported you, and they've come into your tax office, and you've done their taxes. So you might want to send them a thank you note, especially as you wind down and get to the slower part of the year. But the prior year client list, it's really good to work it as much as you can during tax season. And I know you guys are swamped during tax season, but the nice thing about this tool is that you can sort by process date. We all know that our customers tend to be creatures of habit. If they come into the tax office in the middle of February one year, they're probably going to come in at around the same time the next year. So this is kind of a forecasting tool. It'll help you see what you did last year to know what your traffic's going to look like this year, but you can proactively go after those customers and say, hey, it's time to schedule your appointment. Do you want to do that now? Or come in and see me, or however you organize your time in your tax office. So you can be proactive. But this is an awesome way of keeping track. It'll tell you how many down here at the bottom. So you can always see what your number is from your call list versus what your number is from your prior year client list. So you want your prior year client list to keep shrinking and your call list or thank you list to keep growing as you go through tax season. What questions do you have about this tool?
Is it automatically set up, or do you?
If you go into it right now, absolutely. And that brings me to another point. So let's say you go into the software right now and you pull your prior year client list. That's going to tell you all the people that didn't come in 2016 or 2017 for 2016. So you can start to market those. I'll tell you a marketing technique that we did in our office. We had a skip a year discount. So, and we didn't tell them that's what it was, but we wanted them to come back into the tax office, and they had skipped a year. So We sent them a flyer that said, if you come back into the tax office, then we'll do your tax return for free. I don't know that I recommend that you guys do all those returns for free. Yeah, exactly. Our philosophy was we want to show them that we're loyal to them. We want to get them back into the office, and hopefully they have friends and kids and family and other people that they'll bring in with them. And it did work for several people, but send out a discount. Don't send out free.
I've got a different philosophy.
Yes.
I'll come to where I'm working in the scenes. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And there's other people that are doing terrible work, and so now they're all coming to me.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't come to me last year. Guess what? You're coming back to me the next year. Your prices now go up. Okay?
So yes, that's a really great problem to have, by the way. That's awesome. So this tool is when you're really looking to grow that business and you need to bring more in. You may want to hire another preparer that's as good as you are, which is, you know. Start them off small, mold them to be as good as you are one day maybe. And then you have preparers that are working under you, and you can track their retention. And that's an incredibly important thing to know. How good are the relationships that your preparers are creating with their customers? Because if you have 3 preparers, you want to incentivize them, you want to encourage them and motivate them to try and keep that retention number up as high as possible. And if they're on it, man, I mean, that's so great for you guys. Again, you're not spending any money, but you're encouraging your people to really grow their business and take ownership over their retention. So let's talk about the premium version of the software and some cost-saving features that are available. How many of you are using premium right now? Okay, so it looks like most of you. And that's usually the case. A lot of you want to come to the premium class so that you can see what your software can do, and I love that. So we'll talk about quite a few of the features. The big one, of course, is the Taxes to Go app. So let's talk first about encryption of emails. You can email your clients with password-protected files so that they can store their tax return and their documents. Next, PDF storage of customer data. That's one we don't talk a lot about, but yeah, the documents can be scanned in. It can be saved in Papercut, and you can email it to them. And in our tax office, our process was we finished a tax return, we kind of sealed the documents in a file folder and put it with the receptionist. She would scan in the files and save them in the folder, so they were in the system. And then the customer would either choose to come pick those documents back up, or we would just shred the documents and email it to them, whichever they prefer. We would take scan in the front and back of each of those documents. Next, the signature pad is something that we'll talk about as well. How many of you are using the signature pad? It seems like every year more and more people are using the signature pad. It's a really great tool. It's going to save you so much money on printing costs. If you're not using it already, it's definitely something you should think about investing in. It pays itself off very, very quickly. The 2D barcode scanner is something I feel kind of like a broken record on this one. There's not a lot of W-2s that have barcodes on them yet. And it's possible that maybe technology is not going that direction. We thought it was very possible that all W-2s at some point would have a barcode, but you know, we'll see. Sometimes technology takes us different places, right? But there are still some advantages of the 2D barcode scanners, so you guys can kind of decide if it's right for your business. The Taxes to Go mobile app, very excited to share that with you towards the end. Now this is what the Papercut icon looks like. The Papercut tool looks a little bit more modernized now, and it's going to continue to be improved year after year. But you can go to your email section to email your clients copies of their return. And when you do that, you can attach up to 2 documents in that email. And somebody brought it up earlier in the class. Just because you attach 2 documents doesn't mean the folder can only hold 2 documents. What we would do is attach 2 documents to the tax return, but in the folder, we would have a third for our due diligence if we had preparer notes or anything else that we just wanted to save about that particular tax return. It would be in that client's folder, so it would be there. Yes?
Why is it that you don't give us the option to write our own message, because anytime you pull
Mhm.
email, it pulls the previous person's information too.
You should be able to edit it in the body. Are you not able to do that?
It can be edited, but if you wrote maybe something longer,
Oh.
you will see the same thing comes out, so you have to kind of
Back out and kind of edit each one. That was we wanted it to be a little bit personalized to each customer, so it was sort of intentional. If there's a way that we could customize that to make it a little bit easier for you to use, I mean, this is today's technology, so we're definitely open to enhancements on that side. All right, so the desktop scanner is something that's really important to running a paperless office. Yes?
All right. So can you go back?
Yeah.
So on that, when you send an email,
Yes.
is it a default email that is going to show up, or can we put our own email address?
So it's going to the client. So the client's email address will fill in, but yes, it can be edited. I would just be very careful. I know it's encrypted with the last 4 of their social. You can change it too if you want it to be their date of birth or whatever. But in the body of the message, just make sure you direct them to that. But we were always really cautious about changing the email because this email is coming from within their tax return. So yes, it's possible. Like if you need to send it to yourself for whatever reason, you can do that.
So you can change that, right? Who it's from, and then you can still send it out in
Yes.
mass numbers like that.
Not mass. This is one person.
You do it individually.
You do it individually, yes.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, typically I don't know how many returns that you do in a day, but as soon as the return gets accepted, that's when we would have the receptionist do this. So, I mean, she may have 10 or 15 of these that she would have to click send on.
Right.
So, not too terribly much work. Yes.
The problem I'm having with this is that they know that if it's from Kurt CPA and they're looking for that, it's coming from this, they don't know what.
There is a way to set it up through your email service provider, but you would have to work with tech support to get that set up right because some, like if you're with Gmail, they tend to be really finicky about getting that set up. But the from email address, you should be able to change to your email address so that they can reply directly to you.
But when they see it in their inbox, it doesn't say from Kurt CPA.
You should be able to make it so that it does. Has tech support worked with you on that? I do believe that it should be able to do that. It should be able to say your email address. And they should be able to respond to you directly to that. Sometimes the service providers are weird about it, but tech support can look at it and absolutely see what they can do about that. All right, so now we'll talk about desktop scanners that are compatible with our software. So these are some of the models that you can look for. And the brands, really, it doesn't have to be these models. Epson, Brother, and HP all make really good products, and they typically are compatible. I would definitely recommend if you're buying new equipment, plug it up as soon as you get it to your office, and just make sure that it's compatible with our software. Most items are going to be. If you have any trouble, of course, call tech support. But if there are any issues, just try it right away so that if there are, you can take it back to the store and try a different one. Yeah, there are some scanners that don't work, like ScanSnap. Okay, and then there's the Neat Desk scanners. I have some customers that use it and absolutely love it. So that's a good one that you might be able to use as well on the positive side.
Pardon me.
Yes.
You say the ScanSnap won't work with it?
That's what she said.
It doesn't, it don't have, what is it, twine?
So which one do you use in your
What
office?
is it called, twine?
Twine?
Twine. It doesn't have that
Oh.
capability, so that's why.
Yes.
It's a roundabout way you can do it, but it's not compatible.
Okay.
I had
Yeah,
to find out
is
about
it the round? So with the roundabout way, it can work with any scanner really. It allows you to scan the document in and move the file from your computer into the right folder for that customer. So it's still possible, but it's just more cumbersome if it's not something that's specifically synced to the premium version. So that's a good point.
So this is this is a scanner. This is not a scanner and printer combined.
It can be. It is definitely possible. So if you're using a printer, copier, scanner, that's fine. And those are usually pretty affordable. So the thing about these scanners, they range big time in price. So from $200 or $300 all the way up to thousands of dollars, depending on how much you want to invest in one. And a lot of the difference that I've found has to do with the speed of spitting out the paperwork and the resolution maybe. For what we do, we're not doing any kind of high-end photos or anything like that. We just need the data to be pulled in and saved so that we can legibly read it. Most any sheet-fed scanner is going to do that. So there are definitely differences from the inexpensive to the expensive, but I would say there's nothing wrong with any of the inexpensive models. Yes.
I use Canon, the 40,
Yes.
50, and it works fine.
Canons are great.
People function.
Do you mind sharing about how much it ranged in price?
Well, I got that about 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It was about 300.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, Canon is a brand where by itself it has a giant range of prices and scanners, but they tend to be very good.
But that one has even fax.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only thing I would say about an all-in-one is we want to make sure that we're using sheet-fed scanners or self-feeding scanners. So that means you've got all of your customers' 1099s, W-2s, everything they bring into you. You set it on the printer or the scanner, and it funnels it through and does it all at one time. You don't want the ones that only have the flatbed. Yes. Yes.
Are there issues again with the new Windows 10 and compatibility of equipment?
Not to my knowledge. Have you run into any issues?
Yes.
Did you upgrade your operating system from 8 to 10?
No, it's
New purchase of computer.
none of the scanners or the 2D scanners are working.
Sometimes that can happen when you upgrade the operating system because firmware updates happen all of the time, so that is definitely possible. Sometimes tech support is able to find the file that'll make it compatible sometimes, so I don't want to promise anything, but it's possible that they would be able to fix that for you. It just could have to do with the compatibility of the equipment, the operating system, and the software working together smoothly. So.
With Canon,
Mm-hmm.
go to their page, they do have like 3 different patches,
Mm-hmm.
and according to whatever problem you have, you just download that one.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. We actually, in our tax office, we used a Canon scanner as well, and it was really, really great. I like the sheet-fed scanners for taking images of the driver's license and the social security cards for your due diligence. I would always do that, print it out, and put it in the stack, and then scan it back in so that it's all in one file. Okay? All right. So this is an example of the prices of the signature pads, and it seems like to me over the last couple of years these prices have increased a little bit, but it's so worth it. They are very valuable in your tax office. Those of you that do bank products, I mean, the bank application alone is 6 to 8 pages depending on what bank that you go with. It's a lot. And so if you're printing off a copy for them and you don't have paper cut, so you're not paperless, and you're printing off a copy for you, I mean, that could be 12 to 14, 16 pages just in the bank application. And the premium version and the signature pad prevent you from having to print off that copy because you can just email your customer a copy of all of their documents. So the signature pad is going to save you very, very quickly. We don't think about it when we're just printing one return at a time. But man, over a tax season, the number of pages that get printed, if it can be cut in half, it's absolutely worth it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. Not every state. Georgia.
I don't already tried it, so.
Yeah.
It just covered federal, so the state people still have to sign.
Georgia is covered, so they can sign electronically for Georgia and most states. I have heard that South Carolina is not allowed yet, so if you've got anybody in South Carolina, that one. They don't. Okay, gotcha. There's a few states, and it's few. I heard Massachusetts just started allowing it last year. Yes.
The signature pads you have there, can you see when you're signing? 'Cause I've seen
No.
that you just can't.
You're right. You're right. So these are the baseline models. With these, you can't see your signature on the signature pad. So I've heard that the backlit ones where you can are really only about $50 more than this. That's what I've heard. But the nice thing is when they sign it, they can see it on the screen of the computer. So So, and as they're signing, it does appear on the computer screen. So I would have customers sign but look at the computer screen so that they could see what they were signing. So that keeps it more affordable. And another thing, this technology is so durable. I mean, this is truly a business type product. It's really hard to mess these things up. They plug in through USB. There's no installation. There's no setup in the software. It's so simple. And that's why I kind of recommend, I don't normally recommend that you buy anything used as far as technology goes, but this might be one that I would probably get used, even if I was just kind of testing it out to see if it was something that I could get used to in my office. Yes?
I have a question, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can't electronically sign 8879, right?
Yes, you can sign almost all federal forms. Now there are federal forms that cannot be signed electronically. A lot of those are because they have to be mailed in, but the 8879 absolutely. Most documents you can.
The problem that I have with doing this, and I bought one of these a few years ago when you guys recommended it,
Mhm.
it's not functioning because of this. I make my client sign some things about this kid is theirs, it's a kid's social security number, name. I swear to God that kid knows it. They gotta sign the EIC. They gotta sign all these things up front about consent,
Mhm.
and then they gotta sign afterwards.
Mhm.
Okay? So that they're signing these and then or these, and it's just not consistent. And I can flow with it, but people I'm trying to train aren't flowing with it.
Mhm.
And they don't know all the things you gotta sign. So I'd rather have it, either they're gonna sign everything electronically,
Mhm.
or they're not. And if they
Sure.
sign everything electronically, I'm not doing it. It's too confusing, especially in
Mhm.
February, and you got one right after another.
Mhm.
That's why I haven't gone this route yet.
Gotcha. So I don't know that it would necessarily fix that problem, but it could be another way of doing it. And when I was working in the tax office, we would have the consent to use, consent to disclose, EIC worksheet, Schedule C EIC worksheet, all of those pre-printed, and then we would fill them out at the very beginning before we ever started. So that would be a handwritten document. But when we finished with those, we would just put them on the stack with the customer documents. So that would get scanned in with the files. And that way it prevented me from having to print the tax return itself. And then all of those handwritten documents would be in the customer file that I'm also sending to them. And we bought a bunch of folders that we would stick those documents in, like just a regular manila folder, and then we would put the client, we had like a, exactly. And so we would have the receptionist scan all of that in. That's how we did it, so that you're not having to print out individualized forms for each customer. You just grab whatever form applies.
I've already got that, and they're already signing that.
Mm-hmm. So that might be a different way of doing it. Maybe it's maybe worth a try. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm ignorant on this part, but
Yeah.
can I sign as a preparer and store
Yes.
my signature?
Yes. So that you don't get a hand cramp from signing your name 100 times a day.
Right.
Absolutely. So with the signature pad, you can sign your name one time and it'll populate your signature everywhere it belongs within the tax return.
So then when you say that it's paper cut, it's got your signature
Yes,
on it?
it can have your signature on the printed copy. Absolutely. All right, so this is where you go to do that. It'll be in the Prepare Edit menu in Configuration. So you go to Configuration, Prepare Information. It'll be number 16, Prepare Signature. And we just click that. And then it takes us to this type of menu. And again, as you're signing it, it's populating on this screen. We save. And also on this page, which is in your My Account on the PDF, is the contact information if you want to reach out to Topaz directly. If you want to ask them about the signature pad options, you can certainly do that. It's got their phone number as well. And then, so for the taxpayer, this is where they'll sign. This is an example of the 8879 and where they would go to sign that. Taxpayer signature right here, and then the spouse signature. Now, the only thing different about the taxpayer and spouse, they're going to have to sign every time they have to sign. So that way we acknowledge that they have physically signed every single document they need to. You as the preparer don't have to, which is nice, but they will. Yes.
They will have to electronically sign it.
Electronically sign, yes. Mm-hmm. And another thing to point out, if the return has to be mailed, don't send it with the electronic signature on it. If it's sent through the physical mail, it needs to have a wet signature. All right, so the barcode scanner is another option. Again, I feel like every year we're hoping that this picks up, and it's just maybe not quite there. There's a couple of features that are great about the barcode scanner. You can scan the social security cards and the driver's licenses with a barcode scanner, but how many of you have seen W-2s that come with a barcode like that? Very rarely, unfortunately. So I'll show you the process of entering a W-2 from the scanned information. So the W-2, you go to Other, Scan W-2, and then you'll just click to scan, click OK. It'll ask you if you want to import the information, and so you'll click Yes. And then, ta-da, it'll import the information. Now, for you guys and for me, I feel like the steps that it takes to do those things, by the time I finish all of them, I could have already entered the W-2 information in there. But I will say it's really easy to fat finger and maybe mess up a number or do something wrong on a W-2. The barcode is going to be a little more accurate. So that's, I guess, one plug for the barcode scanner. And then again, that it's nice that it'll take a picture of the driver's license so that you don't have to go to the scanner, scan, put it all on there, print it off, and add it to your documents. So if they're fairly expensive, so if it's worth it to you for those couple of features, then by all means, the software works with it, compatible, and you're welcome to use it.
So where do you have to go to scan the license?
So it's actually not scanning the license, it's just taking a picture. And they're not high quality images, but this particular one will do the picture taking. And it's in the settings of the software where you would go, I want to say, I'm trying to remember what part of the does anybody do this?
It's on the
Personal, yeah, personal information, and then current year documents.
Yes. And then it'll say if you want to scan.
Scan the information, and then it'll pull up like that. And then you would just take a picture right there, and it saves it in the file.
Because I was just thinking about when you do bank products.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the driver's license and the social security card, as much information as you possibly can. I know with due diligence, it's very important to keep as much information as possible on file. So these are some examples of prices of the barcode scanners. They run anywhere from about $220 to $285 new. That's what I'm seeing in the list. Now used, $149 and $120 is about the prices that I see. I have a few customers that use it and like it, but not a whole lot. So it's not a bad product at all, and you're welcome to use it. All right, so to summarize the paperless office features, we've got extra storage, extra security. We are saving a lot of money on printing paper, printing costs, time. It's organized. I'm not going to read each of these. You guys are welcome to do that. Again, the PDFs are stored in your My Account. And we're recording all of these classes, so you'll also have access to the whole recording of the entire seminar, even for classes that you weren't able to attend.
Where did you set the PDF?
So it's in your My Account. There's a tab on the left side that'll say seminar information, and when you click that, all of the information is there. And it's the whole.
No, I mean.
Oh.
Individual tax returns.
So the individual tax returns are stored in the TaxSlayer file on your C drive. The paper cut is linked to those folders, so that's how it knows to store it within each customer's file. Mm-hmm. All right, so this is just an example. Let's say you do 400 returns, tax returns, let's say 25 pages, some are more, some are less. If you spend 8 minutes printing a return and you're paying your employees $12 an hour, based on that information, the paper cut and paperless office solution would save you $2,379 and some change. Now that's just an example. I know for some of you it could be more, for some of you it could be significantly less, but let's say it's half. That's still $1,000 that you could be putting into equipment to make your office paperless so that you won't have this expense at all next year. The equipment does pay for itself. It's just harder to see it that way sometimes because it's a little bit at a time that this adds up. Yes? Did you have a question? Okay. All right, so any questions about paper cut or paperless office? All right, let's move on to web reports. I am so excited to share this with you. So this is a website where you can access a ton of data for your tax office. And in saying that, only the ERO or you guys need to own your username and password. Only if you have access to your own username and nobody else does, that's the best way to do it. This is all of your customers' data, all of your office information at your fingertips, which is awesome. So you can access it anywhere. You can see what's transmitted, how much revenue you brought in, sort by preparers. You can track so much data using this tool. Now you've got reports that are already built into your software. You can keep using those. Those aren't going to go away. I know you've got your inventory report where you're checking to see how many returns still need to fund. You can still see that in this tool. It's whichever you prefer. If you're comfortable the way that you've been using your reports, then keep using it that way. This is just an extra tool for you to use. This is something that we're not publishing on our website or publishing out for our customers. You guys are kind of getting the first glimpse at this website. So your login is going to be the exact same as your current My Account login. So you don't have to remember a whole bunch of new credentials. And the reason it's your new favorite website, it's just a ton of data. So this is what the website looks like. When you first go to taxstatusnow.com, this is what you'll see. Username, password, and then you'll sign in. And then this is the summary page that you'll see. So the two reports that you would really probably use most often are the federal return summary and the state return summary. Some of these other reports may or may not apply to you, and they might have a purpose, but these two just contain a ton of data. So we'll go into the federal return summary, and the state return summary mirrors the federal, but it's just one covers federal information and one covers state information. So from here, we can search our information by a date range. So whatever our date range is, we can search by that people that transmitted in that date range, people that received acknowledgments in that date range, or people that funded in that date range. You can search by the tax year and then the return type. So is it a bank product return? Is it a non-bank product return? Or do you just want to search by all of your return types? Now, if you've got more than one EFIN, this is even better because you've got all of your company information in one place. You don't have to go to one office to try and get information and then go to another one. It's all right here. So with the EFIN selection, you can select one or multiple EFINs. So then you'll run the report. When you run the report, it's going to take you to a page that'll give you up to 10 lines of data that represent tax returns. The reason it stops at 10 is because it is so much data that if it pulled everything, it would stop loading. It would time out every single time. So it stops at 10, and then you can export it to Excel. When you export it to Excel, you'll get 70 columns of data for each return. It's incredible. So you'll get simple things like the last four of the client's social, the first name and last name of your client, the preparer, the preparer's PTIN, the EFIN that it was filed under, how much their refund is, acknowledgement date, transmission date, funded date, email address, a ton of information. Also things like the Schedule C, yes or no. Did they file a Schedule C with that return? So you can see how many returns that you had with a Schedule C on it. We're introducing our new partner products. This is where you would go to look up how many of those you've processed, how many had AMP on it, how many had Securely ID on it. So those will be separate columns. So it'll be 70 or more columns of data. Do you guys have any questions? It seems like something you would use.
Check it out.
Yeah. Thank you, Clarence. Yeah, so I absolutely love this tool. I know that you guys are all accountants in the room, and there's nothing better than having a ton of data to sort through. So this will give you that capability. I would encourage you to reach out to us and let us know how you like it as you're going through tax season. Now, if you log into this website right now, you're going to get 2016 data. When tax season starts for next year, you won't start seeing changes to this until transmissions actually start. So once hub testing starts, that's when you'll start seeing things. We collect the tax returns usually towards the very beginning of January, but we don't actually start sending them to the IRS until about January 12th to 15th for hub testing. That's when you'll start seeing the data update here. Okay? Any questions? No more questions about that? All right, I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback. Okay, so the partner program that we have, we've got some really great partners this year, and the purpose is just to help you in your business. You have these options to add and enhance your customer experience. Again, always trying to focus on retention and keeping more of your clients in the office so that you can grow. So the first one is Audit Maintenance Pro, and again, you rely on audit experts. So they're EAs, they're CPAs that exclusively handle IRS letters and any client issues that have to do with the IRS. If they've sent them a bill, if they need to help them get unfunded returns funded, which I love that feature because the IRS does delay funding for some clients. If they have AMP on their tax return and their return has not funded and they get a letter, AMP can help them get that resolved so that they get paid more quickly, and eventually you guys get paid more quickly too. You can earn additional revenue through AMP. So it'll cost the customer $39.95, and then you guys get a $10 cut of that amount. So it is a good revenue opportunity for you, but ultimately it's a great product for the customer. It helps you save time. And the main thing about that, with audit maintenance, when we're working in the tax business, long hours all during tax season, during the summer we want to take a little bit of time off and we want to relax. And audit maintenance is here to fill in those gaps. So your customer has somewhere to turn even when you're not in the office. All right, so it'll help you increase your retention through loyalty, and then it gives the customer 3 years of protection on each tax return. Any questions about AMP?
It's a one-time?
It's one time for that one tax return. So each year that they come in, they would have to purchase AMP for that year to be covered.
So it's only 3-year protection for that year?
That return, yes. Good question. Yes.
So if I'm in Maryland and I get that from my client, so how does it work? Do they have, these professionals all around the states that you connect with to do that?
No, they work over the phone, and so they'll send the information back and forth. Like if the client sends them a copy of the letter, then they'll help them resolve the issue from there. Any more questions? All right. So next is a new product to us. It's Securely ID, and I'm sure you've probably heard of LifeLock. It is comparable to LifeLock, but different. Prices that I've heard for the LifeLock product are $20 to $50 to $100 a month for all that they do. Securely ID is just $39.95 for your customer on their tax return that covers them for the whole year. And this is a credit monitoring program. So not only do they monitor the credit, but they fully restore it if something were to happen. So if their identity was stolen and it affected their credit report, Securely ID would not stop until it was removed from your credit on all 3 bureaus. They work directly with Experian and then send the information to the other 2 bureaus.
So how do you sign up? How do you get the clients to sign up for that? Is there a link through the website or the
Yes.
tax program?
So when you sign up, when you do your bank application, you have the option to sign up for Securely ID. And when you select yes, it'll automatically prompt you in the return, does your customer want to do Securely ID? And so you can say yes or no for each of those clients if you sign up for that option.
My account first?
Yes, through your bank application for you, the ERO, to sign up with Securely ID and say yes.
Products, you can't do this?
If you don't do bank products, then no, there's no way to collect on this one.
So, is it through my account, or do I have to go to Refund Advantage and say?
Good question. It's directly through your My Account on the bank application, though, so I know that's kind of tricky. You sign up in the same place that you do the bank application. So if you've already done it, and some people selected no because they weren't sure what it was, we can unlock it so that you can select it to change it to yes. And then when you do or download your software, it'll automatically know that you're signed up. Yes.
I mean, it's maybe a dumb question, but if an office offers a bank product,
Mm-hmm.
they say that all of our clients don't use them, vast
Mm-hmm.
majority don't.
Mm-hmm.
So that vast majority would not be eligible for Securely ID?
Right. They have to be able to collect through the bank product. Is the only way that they're able to. I know, I hate that too, because it's a really great product. It's very low cost compared to other products, and they do a lot for the customers.
We can't,
What's the cost?
offer this to the majority of my people.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of my people are not gonna pay an extra $20 for me to take out their fee.
Right.
Then this is a worthless fee.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. But it's definitely going to work for the ones that do bank products. You could do bank products, if you wanted to.
What'd you say the
But
cost
I
was?
wanna give this to all my clients.
Right.
The 10% that do bank.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll definitely send your feedback. I think that we want you to offer it to your customers, and obviously you see the value in the product and what it does. So if there's a way for us to program it so that it will do that, then absolutely, we will certainly look into that. It's $39.95 for the customer, and that covers a whole year. So it's not monthly. It's $39, and it's the whole year.
Separate from the audit maintenance fee.
Separate from audit maintenance. It's a totally different product. Yes.
Does this cover,
Good question. $10. Mm-hmm.
does this cover everything that LifeLock does?
That LifeLock does? From what I'm told, it actually covers more than the typical LifeLock subscription. So what this one will do, again, is credit monitoring and the full restoration. They also do internet surveillance, so they're constantly monitoring the dark web to find out if your information is there. Also, if you have dependents on your tax return, believe it or not, children's information can be sold on the dark web if it's out there. If they find it, they get rid of it. Yes.
So just an idea,
Mhm.
it looks like that if you're doing direct deposit for that refund,
Mm-hmm.
that's in the tax return, they should be able to gain access to get their fee.
Mm-hmm. If they do direct deposit through a bank product. Yes, absolutely.
But if they don't have a bank product,
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah.
like for us, as the years gone by, we're having less and less clients do bank products.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll definitely follow up with that. That's definitely an important question to us. We see the value in the product, that's why we're adding it, and I think you guys do too. So if there's any way that we can get it included for you guys, I will certainly look into that for sure.
So do they offer this service outside of tax return?
This is tax return exclusive, so this is a partnership just with TaxSlayer to be able to offer to you guys. Yes, so another feature is the retention capabilities. This has a mobile app for the customers so that they can track and get notified if there are any changes. That's how they reach out to the client. The good part about that is when they receive those notifications, if you guys sign them up with this product, then that ties them to you. So it just furthers the loyalty and the commitment that the customer has to you. So these are two more products that are available. Now these are links that you can click on through your My Account. You don't need to unlock anything to access these tools. The first one is CoverHound, which is an insurance company that offers liability insurance to businesses, and they've offered an exclusive discount to TaxSlayer. And I like their slogan. It's "You've poured your heart and soul into your business. Make sure that it's covered." And that means a lot. We want you guys to have that option. And the reason we did this is we have had a lot of you call and ask us, just say, hey, do you have any recommendation, or are there companies out there that do this? And so that's why we've applied this to your account so that you can log in and get some discounts on insurance. Next would be Surgent. That's a company that offers CPE credits to clients. It's available in your My Account. If you click the link to go to their website, then you'll get a discount on whichever package that you decide to purchase. Okay? All right, so next I just want to give you a brief introduction to TaxSlayer Pro Online. If you go to our website, then you'll be able to see the comparison chart for TaxSlayer Pro versus Premium Desktop version. Now I would start by saying, You don't want to run out and switch your whole office to an online platform at this point. The purpose of me telling you about it is just so that you know that it's something that we do offer as a product. Maybe after tax season, if you want to look at it, great, you're welcome to do that and just see what you think. The online platform at this point does not have a business program. There's no corporate package available. So it's something where if that's something that's important to you, then it just wouldn't make sense for you to switch over. The nice thing about the online version is that it's just so mobile. It is portable. You can completely start a return, end a return, and transmit a return from anywhere at any point. So start it at home, finish it at the office, and transmit, or vice versa. So that's the main reason we've had so many questions about the online version. I don't know that it makes a whole lot of sense for you guys to switch anything right now since we're going into tax season, but definitely give it a look for sure. And if you go to our website, look at the comparison, it'll show you the differences between the premium and the online version. Do you guys have any questions?
Both have the mobile app.
Yes, they do. That's a good question. The online version is comparable to our premium version. They're both paperless, and they both work with our mobile app. So that's also why they're priced at the same range. All right, so the Taxes to Go app. We're super excited about the new customization. We've also added, made it available in Spanish, so the entire mobile app is available for your clients who would prefer Spanish very easily. Customization. So Nathan killed my thunder yesterday when he told everybody in the general session that customization was happening. But this was my face. I just didn't look that cute when I heard that customization was going to happen. So it's available right in your My account. We've got the Taxes to Go link right there. And when you click Taxes to Go in your My account, you can customize the app with several options. This is something that I picture us expanding on, giving you lots of options in the future. But for now, you can enter your company name, the color theme, the download code, and the updated logo. So if you don't have a logo that you want to use right now, it'll default to the profile name. So instead of a logo, it'll just have your company name at the top. It's whichever you prefer. We wanted to give everybody an option. You set the color. The download code is important. So this year what you'll do is send the customer your download code. As they download Taxes to Go, they'll put that in, and that's what'll tie it into your business. The nice thing about that is when they finish the return in Taxes to Go, it'll automatically send the information, notify you in the desktop software or in the online software that that return is available to be prepared. Any questions? Yes.
I got to tell you the truth. I tried this last year, and it was a disaster.
Okay.
The reason why is I spent so much more time with the clients going back and forth trying to get the right documents than if they had just come in.
Mm-hmm.
They can't take the picture. They don't know how to take it right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they don't get all the document in there. Sorry.
No, that's okay. And we're evolving it. Last year was definitely our first year with the Taxes to Go app, but I will tell you, we had a lot of people that did use it. And I think it's the best if you guys get comfortable with how the app works, because it does make it easier if your customer has a question. You don't have to become an expert or a pro at it, but I do think that that can help. And also, I know that we've evolved the product. They've worked really hard to add customization and to add a lot of features to the mobile app for this coming season. So we know, I mean, this is the future of technology. You've got the millennials that don't want to schedule an appointment. They don't want to come into a brick and mortar office. They would much prefer to send you their tax documents in their pajamas at home than to schedule an appointment to come into the tax office. So we've got the chat feature. If a picture comes through and it's not clear, they can send it back through with the chat, and they've got the camera option right there where they can send it through for you guys. We took out the whole complication of your customer having to send you a code, because if they didn't ever send you the code, then that was troublesome. So when they finish with the tax return process, it automatically is going to send to your software and notify you that it's ready. So we've certainly taken more steps, and we appreciate the feedback. We had several customers that called us and said, hey, this is what's going on, or this is what I'd like for you to look into. We just have so many ideas with the app, and again, we know that it's the future, and we're really looking forward to expand on it piece by piece.
How many returns were filed using that last year?
It was thousands. I know it was thousands. I want to say maybe
See,
6.
I tried to do my own and I gave up.
Did you? Call our tech support. I mean, they're very, very helpful and knowledgeable and more than willing to help when you do have struggles.
In the heat of text
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't
Sure. This is a good time to actually start. So if you have time to download it and play with it a little bit and just get comfortable with the interface. Also, there's a website, taxestogo.com, that has frequently asked questions. It has a video on how to use from start to finish. Lots of really good information there. In fact, you can actually send your customers there. It doesn't have the TaxSlayer logo on it at all. It's just Taxes to Go, which is the same app that's going to have your customized logo in it. So certainly, if they're running into struggles there, then that's an option.
One feature I think that would be helpful is that if the camera feature had like the scan function. So as soon as they took the picture, it automatically, publish it as a PDF. That way it's easier to read. Things like that. So
I didn't even get to the point of taking the picture. That's how long it took me to set it up.
Gotcha.
I gave up before I.
Yeah, it might be helpful for you to watch the videos because it does make it a lot easier. Sometimes you just have to get used to that kind of thing to get through it a little bit quicker. All right, so the process is going to be very similar to last year when you're inside the mobile app. Again, some things have been updated. Like we've got the color background. Last year this screen was black. We've got the data here, add dependents if you'd like, and the consent to use. So last year when we debuted this in November, the main question we had was, where's the consent to use? We feel like it needs to be in there. So we took that data back to the office and we said, we've got to have the consent to use built into this mobile app. And we did it, and we had it available last year. So from the very first use, they were signed. By the time you guys get the information, all of your due diligence was done. So they had signed the consent to use for you to have their information and prepare their tax return. And then at the end, it's going to look just the same. So again, you've got your chat function where you can chat back and forth with the client. They can send you pictures if they forgot any documents or needed to add material. And they can see the status of their tax return. So right here, they're waiting on the preparer. It'll notify them if they need to sign documents. And this part will work pretty standard, similar to how it worked last year. Any questions about the mobile app? You're welcome to download the mobile app. This is going to come out when the software comes out, which will probably be in the next 2 weeks. So you'll be able to see this fresh version and make your edits to your My Account. But if you want to download Taxes to Go right now just to play with it and get comfortable with it, you're welcome to do that. I think it's good for you guys to see what it looks like so that you know what's supposed to happen.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Before you go marketing this,
Mhm.
for those that have used it, is it more difficult to just begin to use? Is that what you're saying?
Just set up alone and the number of questions that you have to answer to get to the point. I mean, like I said, I gave up before I even got to taking a picture of anything because it was the amount of information I had to enter. I think we had talked about it. It was like, at that point, I was like, why would I be paying somebody to do this? I'm basically doing my own return here.
Yeah, when my clients have said to me in the past, when I make them do too much, they'll say, if I was going to do all this work, I'd just do the tax return myself. Okay? Now, maybe millennials like this, I don't know, but as a 50-year-old, I hate it.
So I would say try to be open-minded to growing the millennial database.
It's going to be the greatest thing.
Mhm.
And I thought, if we could get them to do this.
Yes.
And so I tried everything first myself.
Sure.
And I gave up. It was like, forget it. They'll never do it because I'm not even going to finish doing it.
Gotcha. Well, I'll be happy to work with you. You can call us if you guys want us to do a tutorial and show you. The videos are available on taxestogo.com, so you're welcome to look at that. Again, start to finish, it shows you how to use the product. And we did have a lot of people successfully using the mobile app last year. So that's why we know it's the future. We hope that you will use it, but continue to give us our feedback. We want to know how it's working for you, and if there's something that we need to correct, we will certainly do that. We've got a whole team dedicated to this project. Yes.
I have something to say about
Uh-huh.
that. If they have the time to go to a website and get an estimate for themselves,
Mhm.
but then go to your tax office and do their taxes, then they should have the time to go
Mhm.
and fill out their information on the app,
Mhm.
and then go to your office and finish out the process.
Right.
So it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
Most of the time, well, in my experience,
Mhm.
I've had quite a few clients that do that.
Mhm. They try to get their estimates. They want to know
online,
how much they're getting.
how much they're
Absolutely.
getting, and
We saw
then
that all the time.
go to my office and do their taxes.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I think it does depend on the client base. It works perfectly for the younger generation because they just are drawn to this type of technology. It also works for those clients that are out of town that can't physically come to your office. It also works for people that can't keep appointments. You know, and it's kind of like, look, I can't schedule another appointment. Why don't you go ahead and download the app and send me your information, and I'll work on it as soon as I get that from you. So absolutely, I think that that's great information, and we're looking forward to it. We expect to have another very successful year with the app, more successful than last year.
It also helps with due diligence.
It stores everything. Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. Y'all have been great. I appreciate it.